What's up, guys? It's TJ, your men's holistic health coach, here with you today. Today we're going to start a new series called How to Lose Fat Forever. So basically we're going to be getting down to the nitty gritty on how to actually lose fat, not do one of those diets where you lose some fat and gain it back later. I'm actually going to go over how to actually really lose fat and have sustainable life habits that we can have that help us to lose fat and to keep fat off. Because I have clients where I've taught where they've actually learned sustainable habits. So for example, I have a current client he's down about 40 pounds, he's gained muscle, and he's not only hitting all his goals and his personal records, his PRs, but he's also embodying these sustainable habits for himself, where he actually feels happy with the success he has, and he lives these things. He embodies the principles he needs to actually keep fat off of him. So this class is going to be all about that. There'll be part 1, part 2, part 3. I don't know how many parts there'll be, but we're just going to go over what we need to, and I'm going to do what I can to just help you guys to actually, just like I said, embody what needs to be embodied to actually keep fat off of you. Because I think as a society we got it a little mixed up, where we do these super strict diets and we go through this really hard regimen when it doesn't have to be like that. So I got some notes here. Let's get started. So a lot of these ideas and these different things are just from my experience of my own fat loss journey, and also what I've seen that has worked with clients as well. And then a lot of these classes are based off of Layne Norton's book, Fat Loss Forever. I highly recommend you guys read that book because it just has a ton of information that's very helpful for people to really keep fat off. So everyone is different, of course, right? So certain things I may talk about might not work for you. They might not resonate with you. It's perfectly okay. But if they do resonate with you, then I hope you can really embody these things to help you. Make sure you always study this information I'm sharing with you guys on your own. I don't want to just be saying stuff and you guys just take my word for it. Like, I'll go ahead and experiment with yourself, experiment with your own body, and then also just go online, look up your PubMed studies and all that stuff, and you can cross-reference what I'm saying. No matter where you're at, maybe if you got 10 pounds extra fat you want off and you've been really working hard and you've lost a lot of weight, or maybe you're at the very beginning where you got 200 pounds of fat that you want to get rid of. I'm going to try and encompass all these different areas that people may be at here. Unless you're certain there's an extreme crisis coming up where you're going to need excess body fat, excess stored energy. That's really what fat is at the end of the day. It's stored energy that your body's keeping for later. And so if you really know there's a famine coming your way, then maybe having some excess body fat will be helpful. But for the majority of us, we don't need that. Especially for those of us that live in America, we get plenty of food. We got fast food on every corner. We're doing okay. So there's really no great reason to have excessive fat in your body, and here's why. Excess fat increases your chance for heart disease, liver disease, kidney disease, cancer, diabetes, sleep apnea, and decreases your lifespan. And of course, that's not everything, but those are some of the major things that we obviously would not want if we want our ideal body and mind. All the sources that you guys need as far as studies go, I'll have those in the description of this video. Body fat, or aka it's also called adipose tissue, it's not an enemy. I don't want this video to be about, all right, let's lose 20 pounds, it's going to kill you and blah, blah. Like, those things may be true, but the way I want to go about this is with self-love, not hating yourself, not having to look at yourself, go, oh, I'm an ugly piece of, and I got to go and do these super strenuous diets. And like, no, I don't go about it this way. I go about it in a path of self-love, self-acceptance, saying, okay, I am where I am, but I want to see some changes. I want to step into an optimal self, an optimal body. I don't want to be in a meat suit that just has a bunch of this excess energy that I don't need. So let's get down the nitty gritty and just use it. We need a healthy amount of body fat to give us energy when food is scarce. Again, most of us aren't in that situation, but I just want to throw that out there for maybe those of us that might actually be in this situation. I would think it's very little of us, but just in case, I'll throw that out there. So we need a healthy amount of body fat on our bodies. When I'm mentioning fat loss, I don't mean going down to a super low percentage of body fat. We just want to be comfortable in our own skin, and if we want a six-pack, we can go that low. We can go to around 10%. We can see a visible six-pack. That's cool. I'm saying any lower than that, we probably don't want to really go for that unless we're in some high-end competition. Maybe that's our goal. But for the majority of us, we're not trying to get down to those very small numbers of fat. We want a comfortable amount, a little bit, because it is important to have as far as hormones go. So, and body fat also helps our immune system. So it actually releases anti-inflammatory and pro-inflammatory immune cells in our bodies, which we need to do different things in our bodies. And it also helps with testosterone. For those of us men who may have low testosterone, we definitely want healthy levels of body fat within our body. So with that being said, too much of a good thing can harm us. So this is true, of course, with body fat. Obesity is defined as a body mass index of 30 or over by the World Health Organization. So that is what we're trying to stay away from, or trying to step out of if we're already in that situation, if we're already very obese. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, obesity leads to a lot of not great things. It is very deadly and has a lot of negative side effects. So here is a statistic that most of you probably did not know. So 95% of people who diet regain the lost weight back within 3 years after the diet. Hence why I'm doing these classes, to actually really teach people the true method of losing fat forever and keeping it off. Diets have their pros and cons. So pro of dieting would be the fact that you can lose fat really quickly. So this is what a lot of people do, of course. They get their strict diet, they lose a bunch of fat, they go, oh wow, cool, and then they eat it all back. 95% of people do. And I don't want you to be that person. I want you to be able to actually keep it off. And so hence why you're here watching this video right now. And another con of dieting is the fact that most people do what's called yo-yo dieting. So just like a yo-yo going back and forth, they're dieting, they're doing, I'm just gonna name anything, like keto. You go do keto, you lose a bunch of weight, you're happy, the yo-yo comes back, and you go, oh man, well I haven't eaten pizza for 3 months, and I guess it doesn't really apply to keto, but I'm just throwing out a food here. Like, I haven't eaten pizza and cupcakes in 3 months, so now I'm gonna go eat all that. And then of course your body's just ready to eat and eat and eat, and so of course you gain a lot of that weight back. This is what happens to most people. That's called yo-yo dieting. Our bodies are always trying to maintain equilibrium. They're trying to be equal. Another word for this is called homeostasis. So kind of think cause and effect. You eat something, your body's gonna have certain effects because you have chosen to cause certain chemical reactions within your body depending on what you've eaten. And metabolism is the collection of all the different chemical balances that go in within our body. And of course, having excess of fat leads to a decreased metabolism, meaning that our bodies cannot keep up as quickly with certain chemical reactions when we have excess body fat, which leads to issues. When we're dieting really hard, we lose the fat, then we go back to our old habits like I mentioned earlier. And we not only regain the fat, but we could even regain even more fat, because what's happened is our metabolic rate has changed. We've put our body into our starvation, a constrictive survival mode. So what happens is our body doesn't know the difference between an actual famine and some strict diet. So when we put our bodies through these strict diets, then of course it's going to bounce back after we're done, because your body goes, oh my goodness, that was terrible. Thank goodness I have all this food now, so I'm just going to eat and eat and eat. And then I'm going to put on even more fat, so that way the next time this happens, I'll be better off. This is why diets long-term do not work. If you still don't understand, another way to see this is through the terms of evolution. So back maybe a couple hundred, or not a couple, just several, 1,000 years ago, let's just say that, let's be safe there. 1,000 years ago, we're hunter-gatherers, we're walking around, we're trying to get enough food. And if we can get excessive food, so we go and we hunt a wolf, and there's a pack of humans, we all eat this wolf, and we get enough food, then we're just going to eat excess amount of food, because we really don't know the next time we're going to be able to find another wolf or another big source of food. So we eat an excess amount. Our body then puts on fat, and then that way we have some stored energy to help keep us going for a while before we find more food. But now, of course, we still have those evolutionary, we can call them biases within our bodies. These things are implanted in our DNA to be able to eat. And now we're at this point where we have these bodies, but technology has advanced so quickly that we have to now be in even more control, more disciplined about what goes into our body and how much we actually really need in a day, because we have such a high amount of food everywhere and very available to us all the time. There is a yo-yo effect, a cause and effect within everything in the universe, and that includes us. So when we're restricting ourselves, we're being very constrictive, and we're being very hard on ourselves, and we're going about this with just I need to put myself through all this. It's really hard stuff all at once. It's gonna wear and tear on our bodies, and our bodies are just going to bounce back on the cause and effect, the yo-yo, and we're just gonna bounce back, and we're gonna eat all that weight back, if not even more. So our body is more prepared for the next famine. So I hope that that message is clear at this point. So as a health coach, the solution, what is the solution here? The solution here is to start slowly implementing sustainable habits. So for example, the client I have right now, he has come very far with implementing slow habits of exercising every weekday, things like that. And he started that months ago, and now he exercises a lot. It's part of his, he loves it. It's part of his life now. It's not something he has to go, oh, I gotta exercise. It's something he looks forward to. It's something that he slowly implemented. Not said, I'm gonna exercise really strict for 3 months and that's it. He says, exercise is now part of my life. And it's now something I must do to show self-love to my body, to show my body that I want to care for it. And I'm going to show up to the gym. I'm going to show up to pushing it so that way it can go through some challenges to become stronger, more able to adapt. And so we slowly implement these things, and we do it slowly because we're going about it at a place of patience and self-acceptance. So as we patiently go through a process like this, then our bodies can actually catch up. We're not throwing into something super disciplined and strict and making it go into survival mode with all these constrictive negative emotions. We can step into lifting weights, working out with very expansive, acceptive emotions. Is imagine yourself eating a raw piece of broccoli. So imagine yourself eating that. Imagine what it tastes like in your mouth. Now, most of us watch this video and go, that sounds disgusting, sounds nasty. And this is an example of showing you guys what happens when you put yourself through a strict diet and you eat foods that you're not as comfortable with yet. Then it's obviously it's very difficult, and it's basically like going through withdrawal symptoms of a drug addiction. So we're used to these high salt, high sugar, high fat foods, and as we go through this, if we could just go cold turkey, we are way more likely to just go right back to what we're trying to stay away from. And so with nutrition especially, it's important to go slow and with patience. So that way we can slowly implement things. Let's say you don't like broccoli that much, but you can tolerate it right now. Then we start with putting seasoning on, maybe even cheese, if that's where you're at. You put cheese on it. And if you can eat that with cheese, you stick with that for 2-3 weeks. And then you get to a point where you get, okay, like I'm liking this broccoli with cheese, but I think I can handle broccoli with seasoning and no cheese. And this, of course, is just an example. You can do this in many things here. But you slowly implement these practices so it's not something where you're throwing your body into that survival mode. So just like a drug addict, you are accustomed right now to certain ways you eat, certain ways that you may or may not exercise. And of course, those things will need to change if you are where you're at right now and you want to see changes. You want to see benefits. And so you've got to implement these habits slowly with the mindset of, I'm doing this out of self-love, and I'm doing this out of the fact that these aren't things I'm just going to do for a little bit. These are things I'm going to do forever. Because I don't want to be like this forever. I don't want to look like this forever. In order to do that, you can't go back to those habits and stay like that forever. And so you're changing your entire being, your entire lifestyle actually, to reflect a whole new person, because you're stepping into your ideal, your dream body and mind. But in order to do that, you gotta start stepping into some dream-like habits, some habits that you never thought you were going to be doing. But you're going to slowly step into those habits to become a brand new person. I started this journey about 7 years ago. So at the start of this 7-year journey, if I were to eat a raw piece of broccoli, it would be completely, I'd probably throw up actually. And because I was so unaccustomed to it, I was raising ice cream, pizza, a bunch of dairy, like all these, and not that I don't eat that stuff anymore, but I was eating it every day. It was normal to have brownies and ice cream every single night as a kid. And so when I eventually got to the point where I realized that what I was doing was not leading to any really long-term benefits for me, then I decided I was going to start changing my life. I was also addicted to drugs. I was drinking alcohol, I was smoking pot, I was popping pills, I was doing all those things every day, and I knew I had to change. And so as I've changed the last 7 years, obviously it wasn't an overnight thing. It took 7 years for me to go from that place to this place. I had to start out with implementing these new changes, but doing it in a way where, okay, I can handle this right now. My body is, because we want to slightly step out of the comfort zone, but we don't want to be so out of the comfort zone that we're going to just go right back to the comfort zone for more comfort. We want to slightly push ourselves on maybe a weekly basis, where we start tweaking things just little by little, lifting a little more weight to the gym, or we're eating just a little more healthy things in our diet, or maybe we're taking away a little more things, and we know that isn't benefiting our bodies at all. So I hope this video helps you guys to see where I'm coming at here, and that I want our society to start stepping away from these restrictive diets where we're doing it out of fear, we're doing it out of some weird fake self-love or whatever. Like really, do those diets really come out of self-love, or are they coming out of these constrictive negative emotions that you hate yourself and you hate the way you look? So I want to come about this in a positive way, a positive manner, where we're embodying these expansive emotions. We feel in love with ourselves, even when we do have a bunch of excess fat, because we know we're stepping in, moment by moment, we're stepping into a new person. We're accepting, okay, this is stored energy I got, and it's here for a reason. I've told my body I need it, but now I'm going to start using it. I'm going to start stepping into my ideal person, the person I really want to be, and the meat suit that I really want to be embodying. And so I hope this has helped those that needs the help. Stay tuned for another episode. Go ahead, like, subscribe if you found this very helpful, and I'll make sure that next class up for us soon.